I want to talk to you today about forgiveness. There are many things in life that can hold us back. Fear, doubt. But one of the most powerful chains that keeps people from moving forward is unforgiveness. You can't reach for what's ahead if you're still holding on to what's behind. Some people are not stuck because God hasn't opened a door. They're stuck because they won't release what's in their heart. We've all been disappointed, betrayed in some way. Someone said something they shouldn't have. Someone walked away. Someone broke a promise. It's painful. But here's the key. Holding on to the hurt doesn't punish them. It punishes you. When you refuse to forgive, you're not locking them in a prison. You're locking yourself in one. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was right. It means you're choosing freedom over bitterness. It's saying, I'm not going to let this hurt control the rest of my life. You can't soar while carrying weights of resentment. You can't live in peace while you're holding grudge. God has great things in store for you, but He can't feel hands that are still holding on to anger. When you forgive, you make room for healing. When you release, you rise higher. We all face moments in life where someone wrongs us, betrays our trust, or breaks our heart. Maybe it was a close friend who turned their back on you, a family member who said something hurtful, or someone you loved deeply who let you down. When those moments happen, it's natural to feel pain, disappointment, even anger. But what's dangerous is when we choose to hold on to that pain, thinking it somehow protects us. In reality, it doesn't protect you. It poisons you. Unforgiveness doesn't hurt the other person. It hurts you. Forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. It's not about saying what they did was okay. It's about saying, I'm not going to let what they did control me any longer. Because as long as you hold on to that bitterness, you're giving power to the very thing that hurt you. You may not realize it, but unforgiveness builds invisible walls around your heart. You stop believing the best. You stop expecting good things to happen. You can't fully love. You can't fully laugh. You can't fully live. Because part of you is still chained to the moment you were hurt. It's easy to say, I'll forgive when they apologize. But the truth is, you might never get that apology. You might never hear the words, I'm sorry. Some people don't even realize what they did. Others may never admit it. But your healing can't depend on their apology. Your peace is too valuable to put it in someone else's hands. You don't forgive because they earned it. You forgive because you deserve freedom. Think about it. When you refuse to forgive, you're allowing that person to live rent-free in your mind. Every time their name comes up, you feel the same sting. Every time you think about what they did, you lose your peace all over again. That's not living. And every time you relive that pain, it gets deeper. It takes root. It grows into resentment. But the moment you forgive, the moment you release it, that poison starts to leave your system. Forgiveness is the antidote to bitterness. There's a story about two prisoners walking together after being released from years of captivity. One man said to the other, have you forgiven those who kept us locked up all these years? The other man replied, I never will. The first man shook his head and said, then you're still in prison. That's the truth. Unforgiveness is a prison of your own making. It keeps you bound to the very pain you want to be free from. You might be free on the outside, but inside, you're still locked up by anger, resentment, and regret. When you forgive, you're not doing them a favor. You're doing yourself one. You're saying, I refuse to let this pain steal one more day of my joy. You're cutting the cord to what's been holding you down. Forgiveness is the key that opens the door to your freedom. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again. It doesn't mean you pretend it never happened. It means you've chosen to heal instead of hurt. It means you're letting God handle what you can't. You're saying, God, I give this to you. I won't carry it anymore. Because when you give it to God, He can do what you never could. He can bring justice, healing, and peace. Sometimes we think, if I forgive, they'll think they got away with it. But here's the truth. Nobody gets away with anything. God sees every tear you've cried, every wrong that was done to you, every hurt you've carried in silence, and He promises to make it right. But He can't do that if your heart is filled with bitterness. Forgiveness clears the space for God to move. When you hold on to unforgiveness, you're carrying a burden you were never meant to carry. It's like walking through life with a heavy backpack full of rocks. Every memory, every offense, every word that hurts you becomes another rock added to the load. Over time, it gets heavier and heavier until you can't move forward. But when you forgive, you start taking those rocks out one by one. You start feeling lighter, freer, stronger. The same person who once hurt you loses their power over your peace. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. Sometimes you have to keep choosing it every day. You may wake up one morning and feel the old pain again, but that's when you remind yourself, I've already forgiven them. I refuse to pick that pain back up. Forgiveness is a process. It's not always instant, but it's always worth it. There are people today living with bitterness that started years ago. Maybe a parent abandoned them, maybe a friend betrayed them, maybe a business partner cheated them. They don't realize that holding on to that resentment has been blocking their blessings. You can't have a heart full of anger and expect it to be filled with peace. You can't live in freedom while you're chained to the past. If you want to see God do something new in your life, you've got to release what's old. I know it's not easy. But remember, God never asked you to do it alone. When you take that step to forgive, He'll give you the strength to let go. He'll help you release the anger, the hurt, pain. And once you do, you'll notice something. You'll sleep better. You'll feel lighter. That's the power of forgiveness. When you forgive, you're declaring, not gonna let this pain define my story. You're saying, my joy is not tied to what they did. My peace is not controlled by what they said. My future is not limited by their actions. You're taking back the power that offense tried to steal from you. There's a beautiful scripture that says, I'll let all bitterness, wrath, and anger be put away from you. And be kind, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God forgave you. Notice it doesn't say, if they apologize, forgive them. It says, forgive just as God forgave you. That means forgiveness is not optional. It's the same mercy God showed you. He wants you to show to others. You may say, but they don't deserve it. Maybe not. But neither did we. Yet God forgave us. And if He can forgive us for all our wrongs, surely we can forgive someone else. When you forgive, you're reflecting God's heart. You're saying, I choose love over bitterness. I choose peace over pain. Sometimes God will use forgiveness to promote you. The very people who tried to hurt you will become the reason you rise. What they meant for harm, God will turn for good. But you can't see the blessing if you're still stuck in the bitterness. The moment you let go, the moment you release it, God will begin to restore what was lost. He'll give you beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for heaviness. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. It takes courage to let go when you've been hurt. It takes faith to say, God, I trust you with this. It takes grace to bless those who have wronged you. But when you do, you rise above the pain. You walk in peace. You walk in power. You walk in freedom. You can't control what others do, but you can control what you carry. Don't carry offense. Don't carry bitterness. Carry grace. Don't carry resentment. Carry love. Because what you carry determines how far you can go. The truth is, life is too short to live bitter. Every moment you spend resenting someone is a moment you lose enjoying your life. Don't waste your energy keeping score. Spend it building your peace. Don't replay what they did. Replay what God has done. When you choose forgiveness, you're not saying, it's okay, it's over. You're closing the chapter that's been holding you hostage. You're walking out of the emotional prison. You're stepping into freedom. And when you forgive, that's when healing begins. That's when your joy, that's when God's favor flows again. Because forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. Oh, it's the key that unlocks your peace, your purpose, and your freedom. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in life is because they keep looking back. They keep replaying the hurt, the betrayal, the disappointment. They keep reliving what didn't work out, what they lost, who left them, and what they should have done differently. But here's the truth. You can't move forward if your eyes are fixed on the past. You can't embrace the new things God has for you if your heart is still tied to what's behind you. Some people wonder why they're not seeing new opportunities, why they don't feel joy anymore, why their faith seems dry. It's not because God isn't working. It's because they're still holding on to what He's trying to move them beyond. You can't live in yesterday and expect to experience today's blessings. You can't walk into your future if you're chained to what happened before. That's why forgiveness is so powerful. It breaks the chain that keeps you connected to your past. Every time you choose to forgive, you're cutting one more tie to what's behind you. You're saying, that season is over. That pain no longer controls me. The moment you stop looking back, your life begins to move forward again. There's a reason your car has a big windshield and a small rearview mirror. The windshield represents where you're going. The mirror shows where you've been. The message is clear. What's ahead of you is so much greater than what's behind you. If you spend your time staring at the mirror, you'll miss the beauty of what's in front of you. The past has its place, but it's not your home. It's a place to learn from, not to live in. Maybe someone hurt you deeply. You trusted them, and they walked away. You gave your best, and they took advantage of you. The pain is real. But if you keep replaying the betrayal, you're giving them more power over your life than they deserve. You can't heal by reopening the wound. You heal by letting it go, by saying, "Oh, I'm done reliving this." The past can't be rewritten, but your future can be redeemed. Unforgiveness keeps you tethered to the moment of pain. It's like dragging an anchor wherever you go. You might be trying to move forward, pursue your dreams, enjoy your family, serve God. You feel like something's always pulling you back. That's because resentment weighs you down. The moment you forgive, that anchor lifts. Suddenly, you feel lighter. You begin to see clearly again. You start walking into new peace, new opportunities, new strength. God never intended for you to live chained to the past. He said in Isaiah, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing." That means as long as you're dwelling on what was, you can't see what's coming. The enemy would love to keep you focused on the pain, because he knows if you ever forgive and move on, nothing can stop you from stepping into your destiny. You may have lost something, but you didn't lose everything. You may have been hurt, but you're still standing. You may have been through a storm, but you came out stronger. That's proof that your best days are not behind you. They're still ahead. But you'll never see them if you keep staring in the rearview mirror of regret. I think about Lot's wife in the Bible. When God was delivering her family from destruction, He gave one simple instruction: don't look back. She couldn't resist. She turned around to look at what she was leaving behind, and instantly she became frozen, a pillar of salt. That's what happens when you keep looking back. You stop moving. You stop growing. You get stuck in the moment you were hurt. God was trying to move her into freedom, but her heart was still attached to where she came from. And isn't that what happens to so many people? God is calling them into a new season, but they keep glancing back at the pain, the offense. Every time you turn your head back, you freeze your progress forward. You can't become who God created you to be if you're still chained to who hurt you. Sometimes we hold on because we think letting go means losing something. But forgiveness doesn't mean you're losing. It means you're gaining peace. It means you're freeing yourself from the weight of bitterness. You're no longer giving yesterday permission to dictate today. Forgiveness says, I refuse to be a prisoner of my past. When you stop looking back, God can start rebuilding what was broken. He can bring beauty from ashes, purpose from pain, strength from sorrow, but He won't do that while your focus is still on the wound. He heals when you're willing to move forward. Maybe you keep thinking about how unfair it. You're right, you didn't. You didn't. But don't let the unfairness become your focus. Don't let it rob you of your destiny. The same God who saw the wrong will make it right. The same God who saw the betrayal will bring restoration. But you have to do your part. Release it, forgive, and keep moving. The past is like an old movie. You can watch it over and over, but the ending never changes. At some point, you have to stop watching reruns of your pain and start writing new chapters of your purpose. The more you replay it, the more it defines you. But the moment you forgive, you reclaim the pen of your story. You say, that hurt me, but it won't hold me. That broke me, but it won't define me. I'm moving forward. Some of you have been carrying resentment for years. Maybe you don't talk about it anymore, but it's still there, in your tone, your thoughts, your reaction. You may not even realize how much it's holding you back. And forgiveness doesn't just free your heart, it frees your destiny. The people who wronged you can't stop what God has planned for you. Only unforgiveness can. When you look back too long, you start losing sight of what's possible. You start believing that your best days are gone, that life will never be the same. But the truth is, every time you forgive, you're planting a seed for a better future. Every time you let go, you're creating space for new blessings to flow. If you'll stop looking back, you'll discover that God has already prepared something greater ahead. The relationships you lost, the job that ended, the betrayal that broke your heart. It didn't stop your story, it shifted it. God used it to move you into something better. But you have to release the past to reach the promise. Think of Joseph in the Bible. His brothers betrayed him, sold him into slavery, lied about him, and forgot him. But Joseph didn't spend his life looking back. He forgave them. And because he forgave, he rose from the prison to the palace. When he finally saw his brothers again, he said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Forgiveness. It turns what was meant to destroy you into something that develops you. When you forgive and stop looking back, you're telling you may have tried to break me, but I'm still standing. You may have hurt me, but I'm still here. I'm not living in the past. Let this be the day you stop staring at closed doors. Let this be the day you take your eyes off what didn't work out and fix them on what's coming next. God can't open new doors if you're still crying over the old ones. He can't fill your hands with blessings if they're still holding on to burdens. There's new joy ahead, new peace ahead, new love ahead. but you'll only find it when you stop looking back. You can't change what happened, but you can change how you respond. You can't rewrite the past, but you can create a new future. Forgive so you can be free. Release so you can rise. Stop looking back. Your destiny is not behind you. It's in front of you. When you make the decision to forgive, you're not just releasing a person, you're unlocking a divine flow of healing and blessing that has been waiting for you. Forgiveness is not just an emotional act, it's a spiritual principle that opens the gates of heaven over your life. The moment you choose to forgive, God begins to move in ways you couldn't even imagine. There are many people today who are praying for breakthroughs, asking God for restoration, favor, and peace, but their hearts are still cluttered with bitterness. They're holding on to wounds from years ago, pain from people who walked away, resentment toward those who betrayed them. But they don't realize this unforgiveness blocks the very blessings they're asking for. You can't receive with a closed hand, and you can't be healed while you're still holding on to hurt. Forgiveness clears the pathway for God's grace to flow freely. It's like unclogging a pipe. Once the bitterness is removed, the blessing begins to pour in. The peace you've been praying for, the joy you've been missing, the favor you've been waiting for, it all starts to show up when you release the resentment. Sometimes we think forgiveness is just about letting go of the past, but it's much bigger than that. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks your future. When you forgive, you're inviting God to step in and heal what's been broken. You're saying, God, I trust you to handle this better than I can. And when you do that, He not only heals your heart, He restores you. In the scripture, Jesus said, forgive and you will be forgiven. That's not a suggestion. It's a principle. It means that the same measure you use to forgive others is the same measure God will use toward you. When you release others, you're also releasing. You're opening the door for mercy to come your way, for grace to overflow, for favor to increase. You can't live a blessed life with a bitter heart. You can't walk in peace while you're walking in offense. The two don't mix. God is a God of love, peace, and restoration. And when you choose to forgive, you're aligning yourself with His nature. You're saying, oh God, I choose your way over my way. I choose grace over grudge. And that's when miracles begin to happen. Look at Job. He went through unimaginable pain. He lost his health, his wealth, his family, his friends. To make it worse, the very people criticized and judged him. Job could have easily become bitter, resentful, and angry. But instead, the scripture says, when Job prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Notice the sequence. Job forgave before he was restored. He prayed for those who wronged him, and then God blessed him double. That's not a coincidence. That's a divine pattern. The moment Job released the offense, the moment he let go of the bitterness, the floodgates of blessing open. The same thing can happen for you. The moment you forgive, things begin to shift. Doors start to open. Relationships begin to heal. Peace replaces pain. God starts to restore what was stolen. The blessing doesn't come when you hold on. It comes when you let go. You may be saying, forgiveness. But forgiveness isn't about deserving. It's about deciding. It's a decision to move out of pain and into peace. It's choosing to no longer let what happened rob you of what's ahead. When you forgive, you're not saying what they did was right. You're saying, I'm not giving this pain permission to control me anymore. When you forgive, God begins to heal you from the inside out. You might not see it overnight, but slowly the heaviness begins to lift. The sadness turns into strength. The anger turns into understanding. The resentment turns into compassion. That's the power of God's healing grace at work in your heart. Healing isn't always instant, but it starts with one choice. You may have scars, but they don't have to define you. Those scars can become reminders of how far God has brought you. What once caused you pain can one day become your testimony. But it begins when you release what's been holding you back. Maybe you're believing for blessings in your life. A promotion, a breakthrough, a new opportunity, but you feel like nothing is moving. Sometimes God is waiting for you to move first. He's saying, if you'll forgive, I'll release the favor. If you'll let go of the bitterness, I'll open new doors. If you'll bless those who hurt you, I'll bless you beyond measure. God can't pour new wine into old wineskins. He can't fill a heart with joy that's already full of anger. But the moment you forgive, you make room for Him to fill you with something greater. That's when He brings restoration. Restoration of peace, of joy, of purpose, of everything the enemy tried to take from you. There's a story of a woman who held resentment toward her father for abandoning her as a child. For years she carried that pain, and it showed up in every area of her life. Her relationships, her confidence, her faith. One day, she decided to forgive him, not because she was tired of carrying the weight. She said, I forgive him, I release him. From that day forward, something changed. She said she felt lighter, freer, more peaceful than ever before. The same woman who once struggled to trust now helps others find healing. That's what forgiveness does. Transforms your pain into purpose. It takes what was meant to destroy you and turns it into something beautiful. When you forgive, you're stepping into a higher level of faith. You're saying, well, God, I believe that you can turn this pain into a blessing. I believe that you can bring beauty from these ashes, and you will. Because every time you forgive, you're activating a spiritual law that invites God to restore what's been broken. Some of the most anointed, blessed people are those who've learned to forgive quickly. They don't let bitterness take root. They refuse to hold grudges. They keep their hearts pure. And because of that, God keeps pouring blessings into their lives. You can't stop what God wants to do in someone who refuses to live offended. When you forgive, you open the door for God to do more than you ever imagined. He'll not only heal your heart, He'll promote you, protect you, and prosper you. You may have been mistreated, but He'll make it up to you. You may have been overlooked, but He'll cause you to be honored. You may have been hurt, but He'll use it to help others heal. Doesn't mean the memory disappears. It means the pain no longer controls you. You can look back at what happened and say, that used to hurt. But now it reminds me of God's faithfulness. You can talk about what broke you without feeling broken anymore. That's when you know you're healed. And when you're healed, blessings flow naturally. You begin to attract peace, favor, and joy because your spirit is light again. You start seeing doors open that were once closed. You start walking in purpose without the weight of the past slowing you down. Forgiveness didn't just heal you, it positions you for promotion. There's power in forgiveness. It changes your heart, it changes your perspective, and it changes your future. When you forgive, you're partnering with God's plan for your life. You're saying, I choose freedom over bondage. I choose faith over offense. I choose healing over hurt. Don't let bitterness block your blessing. Don't let resentment rob you of your reward. Make the choice today to forgive, release the pain, and watch how God restores the peace. Let go of the offense and see how He brings increase. Forgiveness doesn't just close one chapter. It opens a brand new one, filled with peace, joy, and favor.
The moment you forgive, you open the door to everything God has been waiting to give you.
So today, forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Forgive not to let them off the hook, but to let yourself off the hook. Forgive not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to live fully free. You make room for healing. When you release, you make room for restoration. When you let go, you make room for God's blessings to overflow. Forgiveness is not the end. It's the beginning of everything beautiful God has in store for you. There comes a point in every person's life where you have to make a choice. To keep carrying the pain, or to finally let it go. To stay chained to what happened, or to walk free into what's ahead. The message today is simple, but powerful. Forgive so you can be free. You've carried that hurt long enough. You've replayed the wrongs long enough. You've cried over what was lost long enough. It's time to release it. It's time to take the weight off your shoulders and put it in God's hands. He knows what happened. He saw every tear, every betrayal, every disappointment. And he's saying to you, if you'll let it go, I'll make it right. If you'll release the pain, I'll release the blessing. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. It doesn't mean you approve of what they did. It means you love yourself enough not to carry it anymore. When you forgive, you're declaring, my future is too important to be held hostage by my past. You're saying, my past to let bitterness steal my peace, my joy, my destiny. You may not get the apology. You may never hear the words, I'm sorry, but that's okay. Because you don't need their permission to heal. You don't need their words to move forward. You have everything you need when you decide to forgive. The truth is, forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a choice. You may not feel like forgiving, but when you do it by faith, the feelings will follow. When you release the hurt, healing begins to flow. When you stop rehearsing the offense, you start releasing your destiny. Don't let what someone did to you keep you from what God wants to do for you. Don't let a moment of pain define a lifetime. You have too much to live for, too many blessings ahead, too many dreams still waiting to come true, to stay stuck in yesterday. Maybe you've been through betrayal. Maybe you've lost someone you loved. Maybe you've been lied about, rejected, forgotten. But here's what I want you to remember. God never wastes pain. Every tear you've cried, He's collected. Every wrong done to you, He's seen. And if you'll trust Him enough to forgive, He'll not only heal your heart, He'll restore everything you lost, and more. Forgive that parent who wasn't there. Forgive that friend who betrayed you. Forgive that partner who talked behind your back. And while you're at it, forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, for the times you fell short, for the things you wish you could change. You are not defined by what happened. You are defined by what you choose today. When you forgive, you rise higher. When you forgive, you unlock peace. When you forgive, you invite the power of God to move in your life in new ways. That's when joy returns. That's when your strength is renewed. That's when your blessings start to overflow. So today, make the decision to let it go. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Release the anger, the resentment, the pain. It's been heavy long enough. You weren't created to carry that burden. You were created to live in freedom and peace and in joy. And when you choose to forgive, that's exactly what will happen. Chains will break, peace will come, healing will flow. And God will do more for you than you ever dreamed possible. Because forgiveness is not just about setting someone else free. It's about setting yourself free. So today, walk out of that prison of pain. Step into the open door of peace. Leave behind the weight of bitterness, and step into the lightness of grace. Let God heal what you can't, and trust Him to restore what was lost. Your joy will return. Your blessings will flow again. But it all begins with one decision to forgive, so you can be free.